If you are thinking about investing into real estate in Panama, or if you are seeking a second residency here, then this video is for you. My name is Celine Weyermann from Weyermann Advisors Partners here in Panama, and today we are talking with our partner attorney, Emilio Cornejo Vernasa, about immigration law, real estate and banking in Panama. Hi Emilio, thanks a lot for taking the time.
Thank you for having me, Celine.
So in general, Panama has changed a lot over the past years. Would you say Panama right now is very attractive for foreign investors?
I'll say it has been attractive for the past 20 years and getting better and better and more appealing for a number of reasons. One of those being our geographical location is ideal for business regionally, of course. But all in all, because it is, being in Latin America, quite a safe country, not only in terms of security, but also in terms of legal security. We have a stable government. We use the US dollar for over 120 years. You can see that the country, although being small, has a lot to offer. In terms of urban areas, like where we're sitting right now, to beaches, mountains, so let's say the variety of options in such a small place is one of the main appealings of Panama.
So a lot of our international clients, they come from German-speaking Europe, but also from the US or from Canada. And most of them, at least at the beginning of their, let's say, Panama journey, they are very unfamiliar with the laws in Panama. And there are some questions that are always like popping up and like are frequently asked to us, and I think also to you. So in general, one of these questions is, how does it work if a foreigner, an expat, wants to invest in Panama into real estate? How safe it is, and what is the legal structure behind?
That's a really good question. And yeah, we are familiar with the cultural differences that we have with North America and Europe. And having clients from also Germany, US and Canada for over 18 years, I can attest to the doubts they may have at the beginning. And how safe it is, that's one of the main advantages in Panama. Any person, being this a natural person or a company or a foundation, Panamanian or not, so any foreigner can own property in Panama. We have a public registry system. By public is that anyone can access it online, and you can obtain title over your property, even as a foreigner, under your private name. And you don't actually need a special paper to prove you're the owner. It's commonly known, it's public record, so it's quite safe. The transfer process can be done very swiftly if you have the right guidance.
Okay, so the properties are really owned by the people, and it's not only a lease like that we know maybe from Dubai or other countries.
It's not a lease, it's not a concession. I know that Dubai or other places have like a 99-year concession and stuff like that. No, in Panama, you get a property title that you can transfer, you can mortgage, you can inherit, so it's yours.
Perfect, that's really nice. And in terms of properties, it's not easy to find like the right unit, the right location if you are not familiar with Panama. Maybe you have been here for vacation or you haven't even visited before. So how important is it to have like partners that are really like here in Panama that can guide the clients through the process?
That's a really good question, Celine, because I already mentioned that Panama is a small country, and Panama City is also not that large, it's small. So you should have guidance of someone that is located in Panama, not just through photos online, not just through websites, because what happened with these kind of cities that are so interconnected with, let's say the neighborhoods are so interconnected, is that you may have a really good, nice, beautiful building next to an area that is not where you want to spend your time. So you have red zones next to really nice places, and you have buildings that in photographs or videos, they look fantastic, and they may be, but maybe the neighborhood is not what you wish to. So having someone that can guide you through the process of making a tour, at least getting first-hand knowledge of how the city moves, how the city works, would be ideal, especially if you're not only considering Panama as a relocation place, but as an investment. Yeah. You want your investment to provide the return that you wish. And that will only be possible if you have the right guidance.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. So maybe also what is very often like asked is like, what is the differences if somebody is like buying a brand new property, let's say from a real estate developer, or if they are interested, let's say in a finca, in a hacienda, in a part of land, somewhere like in the interior of the country. Like from the legal perspective, what are like things that they need to consider before they are choosing a unit or a place?
In any case, it's always good to have some kind of due diligence on what you're buying, whether it is new property or something that already exists in the countryside, as you will mention. Of course, this due diligence should go through the legal side of the title, just to make sure that you're buying something that you can acquire, that it doesn't have any kind of lien or situation. But especially if you're considering first-hand property or something offered by a developer, you should understand that Panama has a lot of companies developing properties. I mentioned that over the past 20 years, Panama became quite appealing, quite attractive for the investor. And of course, that triggered a bunch of, let's say, not well-prepared developers.
Yeah, smaller developers, new ones, yeah.
How it goes. Maybe I have an uncle that have a piece of land, and I have a friend that is an architect and an engineer, and we put something together, and they had no experience. Yeah. Maybe well-intended projects, but with no experience, and that resulted on having a few developers that have not a long time in the business, not a great reputation. So it's good to know that if you want to work or want to invest in a development, you should look for those developers that have over 20, 30 years of experience in Panama. Definitely, that will make a difference because they have gone through the process, even of making mistakes, and they know how to do property right. The main advantage, of course, is that when you buy from a developer, you will find property that is already listed to occupy, and maybe pre-construction projects that would allow you to invest maybe in a process that will take 1 or 2 years to finally obtain the title, but you'll be investing in something that you can get at a better price because it's a pre-construction project, and eventually have a really nice quality unit. At the end, it all depends on which developer you work with, you choose, and for that again, you will need guidance.
You now mentioned like the pre-construction projects. Would you say it's safe to invest in pre-construction, or is it like a higher risk? Because in general, all over the world, people are like more curious about new projects because, as you mentioned, there are like very great prices by square meter or square feet. But in the end, it's not something that it's already built that you can see, that you can go and feel yourself. So would you say if somebody is interested in a pre-construction project, it is very important to work with a developer that has been here for many years,
exactly.
Right?
You already answered my question, Celine, because it all goes back to the reputation, the history of that developer. Again, there has been attempts of businesses, attempts of projects that even when they probably were well-intended, having no experience or a little experience in the subject didn't end well, and of course that affected at some point some investors. But when you're dealing with the strongest players in the market in terms of developers, you know they will develop. You know they will get to the point that you'll obtain your title. You'll know you'll be buying something of good quality, of course, and most of all, you know that your money will be safe because again, these are developers that have done hundreds, if not thousands of projects already, and they won't affect their reputation just because of one little mistake. They will deliver.
Yeah, and absolutely also that the money is safe. They usually use like trusts and structures, legal structures that will protect the assets of the
That is
investors.
correct.
Yeah.
The big developers, they just don't play with your money. They have trust in place that will release money by stages of construction. So you'll know that whatever payments you are making will go towards your investment. It won't be used for any other purposes by the developer if you're dealing with the right people.
Yeah, I think this is a very important point. And also a lot of our international clients are not only seeking like a real estate investment to diversify their portfolio, but they are also planning on relocate to Panama, get permanent residency, or do a plan B for the future. So how is like real estate and immigration law in Panama connected?
That's a really good approach, and this falls under what we know in the industry as a residency by investment. You obtain a residency status based on some sort of investment. Panama has a few options related particularly to a real estate investment. And yes, we have had more than a few clients looking for a plan B. Maybe they're not just ready to trigger and move, but they want to have a backup plan. And this is a path that would allow you to get this done in a swift manner with very low risk. Panama has two basic residency by investment programs. One is known as the Friendly Nations Visa, and it has been in place for the past 13 years. And the other one is known as the Golden Visa. It's some sort of fast track program that has been in place for almost 5 years. Main differences, I'll say that the friendly nations will require the applicant to have one of 50 listed nationalities. The EU, North America, several countries from Latin America, some countries from Asia and South Africa. There's a list, you can find it online. That's the basic requirement, have one of these nationalities. Number two, you should make an investment of $200,000 in real estate. Okay? This path will grant the applicant and their immediate family a 2-year visa that can be upgraded into a permanent one later on. So it takes a while, but the applicant and their family will obtain permanency with a $200,000 investment if they have a passport of these 50 nationalities. Okay? The Golden Visa, on the other hand, as I mentioned, is a fast-track program. It is not reserved for any kind of nationalities. Nationals from any country can apply to it, and it requires a higher investment. Instead of $200K, it's $300,000 that must be invested in real estate. It grants permanency within a month and a half, once everything is submitted, and it also is extended to their immediate family, spouse, children, parents, basically. Another main difference to consider between the friendly nations and the Golden Visa is that friendly nations require the applicant to have title over the property.
So it needs to be finished, it needs to be transferred in the deed, and the Golden Visa is also available for like pre-construction projects.
Correct. Golden Visa allows for pre-construction investment to serve as a proof of investment, okay? And a third main difference is that Golden Visa is the one and only residency program that allows for a remote application in Panama. Every other residency program, including friendly nations, required a few, maybe several visits from the main applicant and their relatives to Panama to submit and renew permits and everything else. Golden Visa can be fully handled remotely if the client wishes so.
Okay, and is there like any big advantage besides of like the immediate like visa for lifetime that is granted? Is there like anything that you say, okay, there is a risk if you are going with the friendly nation visa, or how has this been like in the past? Have been like application that after the 2 years haven't been renewed, or what is your experience on that?
So far I can tell that, of course, the applicant must renew it and must, under the friendly nations, must still prove they have the investment. If they invested $200,000 in real estate and 2 years later they have already liquidated their investment, they won't be able to renew it. They need to prove they still have the investment. Other than that, I can tell it's still a safe path. Panama has a very strict legal framework, and we would never apply any kind of new law or new regulation backwards. Any new regulation is always applied
for
to the future, for new applications,
okay.
And from a certain point in time later. So even when, let's say, that someone applied last year and next year when they have to renew, the law have changed, the previous law will still apply to the old ones. We won't affect the path that someone have chosen just because the law changed.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, the last time Friendly Nations visa was affected was in 2021. So we haven't had any new regulations. I haven't heard of any upcoming changes in the near future.
So you mentioned the family members. So if someone is like investing into real estate in Panama and he will go through the friendly nation process or even the golden visa application, how many family members can they bring with them? Can they bring only like children, spouse? What about, let's say, parents or even grandparents? Where is the cut? What is concerned as a family and what is an extended family then?
The way that immigration law in Panama understand it is, let's say, designed to include spouse, and by spouse they have to be legally married. So common law won't be enough. It has to be a legal marriage with a marriage certificate. Children up to the age of 25 years old. If they are older than 18, they must prove that they still depend financially from their parents and that they are studying at college, university, whatever they are, and that they're still single. So
Okay.
if they
Yeah,
want,
not
they
married
want to
yet.
apply as a dependent, they have to be single, not married yet. And the applicants, the main applicants' parents may also be included.
Okay.
So summing up, spouse, children up to the age of 25, and parents of the main applicant. That's the circle, how the compass opens to include dependents in a residency application.
That's wonderful. So the visa process is not only perfect for the investor itself, but also opens like the door as a plan B or a backup plan for the whole family. And I think this is a great advantage. So we now talked a little bit about real estate. We talked about immigration law. Another important topic that always pops up, what clients are asking us about, is about banking in Panama.
Of course.
Yeah, Panama is known as one of the financial hubs of the Latin Americas, and I'm not sure why it is, but I think there is a little bit of a misunderstanding that a lot of foreigners think that Panamanian banks are not safe, or there are a lot of rumors about it. There are even some movies in the cinemas
yes.
about it. So from your point of view, would you say that Panamanian banking is secure? Is it safe to put down money into a Panamanian bank? What did you experience in the past years?
Over 35, 40 years ago, Panama went through a dictatorship. Well, things were not handled, let's say, kosher. They were not handled properly. But ever since 1990, so for the past 35 years, we have had a really strong Republican system. We have a democracy that works, and that comes along with what I say is a strong, strict legal framework. I mentioned that one of the main obvious advantages of Panama is our geographical position, and of course, that have attracted a lot of banks from all over the world, from this region, and of course banks that have emerged in Panama. Given that we have the dollar and our logistic system, not only the canal, but everything surrounding it, let's say, attracts foreign investment and let's say interest, banks have established here. And yes, it is commonly said that Panama is an international financial hub because of the amount of banks we have. We have over 100 and something. I lost the count.
The track.
Okay, the track, yeah. But what I can say is that banks in Panama played very strict. It is not that easy to just set up an account.
Yep.
Compliance regulations when it comes to banks in Panama are quite strict.
Yep.
Most of our clients are initially quite surprised, taken by surprise, because they thought that Panama being a banking center, they can just walk into a bank with
And
their
open
passport
account,
and
yeah.
have a bank account with the checkbook and the debit card, whatever. It's not like that. It requires a lot of assistance, documents to be analyzed, and depending on the difficulty of the situation, banks may take days, even weeks to set up an account. Once again, if you have the right guidance, they can help you navigate through this system.
Yeah.
Having said that, Panama's banks going bankrupt, nothing in 35 years.
Yeah.
We have had a few cases of misconduct of the parent companies of the banks abroad, situations that were not related to their banking system, to the banking actions in Panama that affected their
Yeah.
branches in Panama. But the system in itself, normally what it happens is that new banks emerge, they are absorbed by larger banks, and like any other kind of financial industry behaves, it works.
And do you have like any tip or like an advice that you would like to give to people who are interested in coming to Panama, invest here, get permanent residency? What is like something that they really need to do before they do the move and come here?
Contact someone that can guide you. Number one, as an attorney, I always joke around with the situation that a client comes to me with a signed contract and he tells me, what can I do?
Yeah.
And it's already too late.
Yeah.
So trying to put that in perspective, if you're considering Panama, either for investment, for relocation, for both, first step would be to contact someone. Be careful with Google. There's a bunch of information online,
Yeah.
and I can assure you, most of it is not precisely accurate.
It's
most
dated
of it
and it's from the past.
from
yes.
the past, and people get pieces of information here and there and try to put it together. Ideally, if you want to make a move, before you make a move, get in touch with someone that can guide you through the process. Someone that has already experience doing this. It can be anyone that is established in Panama
Yeah.
and has gone through the experience and has knowledge. That's step number one. Before that, please don't do anything else.
That's great. That's a great advice. This is also something that we always tell people. So thanks a lot, Emilio, for taking the time today for that short chat. And I'm sure we will have some further videos together soon. And for you, if you are now interested coming to Panama, invest here in real estate, get your permanent residency, either for a relocation or as a backup plan, don't forget to hop on our website, schedule your free consultation call, and we are very happy to welcome you soon here in Panama.